So Blackmagic has released version 3 of their app, and it's actually one of the bigger updates they've done in a while. A lot of it is cosmetic, but they have added in some new features and new functions that make the app a lot better. If you're used to the app, the first thing you might notice is that this display of settings is different now. You've got your lens picker and zoom in one button now, and then you've got LUTs in its own function now. You had LUTs there before, but it was just for applying the LUT on the screen, and then they moved the stabilization down on the screen. Again, that's more or less cosmetic, but the LUTs and the lens picker and zoom do have some different features in there that I'll talk about in just a second. The other thing on the screen now is you have 3 dots over here, and you've got presets right here on the screen. I don't have any set up right now, but if I had them, you could do that, instantly set them, or you can create one right here as well. The slate they've moved here now too. Slate used to be in the controls here. Now it's over here by itself. And then the bottom button, which is grayed out, is the remote control icon. If you're using this in a camera control or a recording situation where you're using multiple devices, multiple iPhones or an iPad. And then to get rid of those, you swipe them away. Now, another really cool thing they added is you can now click on the histogram and it goes full screen. Before, you could only see it down in the very corner of the screen. And if you use histogram much, that really wasn't ideal. It's really pretty small. But now it's nice. You can make it full screen, and then you can control the opacity. I think leaving it 100 makes the most sense to me, though. Staying here on the main screen, they now have function buttons that will come up here on the right-hand side. By default, they're not on. You have to go into settings, and there's a new menu setting called function buttons. You come in here, you turn those on, and then you can select a preset, or you can choose whatever you really want. But when you come out here, you'll see them right here on the screen. 3 dots, click on it, you've got 3 function buttons. Again, I haven't programmed those yet, but then you could program with whatever you want to have quick access to that particular feature. Swipe to make that go away. Now back to the lens button. This is all the same. You got the same lens picker, which is nice. But then the zoom now is integrated in there. And so that is different. And then another thing they added is down here at the bottom, they have what's called dolly zoom, but you can hit presets and it zooms in automatically. Now keep in mind, this is a digital zoom, so you lose quality when it's doing it. But I guess they're calling it a dolly zoom because it's automated and it moves like that instead of being a snap zoom. So the other thing that you can do as part of that, I had it set up previously. You click on the clock here, the timer, and I had it on 2.5 seconds. So you can make that go faster, go to 0.5 seconds. So now when you hit it, it kind of looks like a snap zoom now. So that is nice. Or you can do the opposite way and go into, I'm not sure how far, I guess 10 seconds. That would be a long zoom. So we'll come out from that. And now I'll hit 2 times and you can see how slow it's going. Or 8 times, you can see how slow it's going in. So yeah, that could come in pretty handy depending on what you're doing. I don't zoom a lot, but if you need to do zooms, you're doing sports or documentary or maybe news and you need to zoom in on someone and have complete control, I think that's what it's for. I would call that more of an automatic zoom more than a dolly zoom. So neither here nor there. That's a pretty cool new feature they've added. Now, when you go to frame rate, now you have the off speed in here and time lapse. And so we've had off speed for a while. It used to say OS up there. Now, when you come over here, it shows 60/24. So it's 24 frames per second base and 60 frames per second is what you're recording. So you're getting a 40% slow-mo look. So we've had that for a while, but now it's just built in with that and time lapse. And so the information looks a little bit different too. It's a little easier to read and it's a little more clear on exactly what you're shooting. Same with time lapse. If you flip to time lapse, now you can set the duration of the time lapse right here in this on-screen setting. So that is nice. It's just kind of consolidating some features all on the main screen and at your fingertips. Another new feature they've added, and they've included it in this menu on the screen, is you now have a torch. And that's pretty cool. So you can turn it on, and now you have a light. It's using the iPhone flashlight, and you can control the intensity. Other apps have had this for a long time. For whatever reason, Blackmagic didn't add it to their app, but they've got it now. I like seeing that. I don't think I would use that a lot, but it is nice to have. Now, I mentioned the LUTs earlier. So now with the LUT, they've changed the location of the button and also the functionality. You can turn it on or off right there. I am shooting Apple log, so now it's on. And now, and this is actually pretty cool, I'm using my LUT right now. It's an iPhoneographer's D-Log Natural LUT. But then you can scroll through other LUTs that are on your phone. And several of these, I think there's actually 12, if I'm not mistaken, are new LUTs provided by Blackmagic. Now I've got them turned on by default, but you can turn those off. I'll show that in just a second. The other thing you can do now from the screen is just touch this button, and now you can see how that's outlined in red over there. Now that means you are baking that LUT into the image, which you would almost never want to do. The only time I do that is if I'm shooting Apple log in H.265 and I want to quickly bake in a LUT and shoot footage and just upload it. If I'm controlling the footage, I'll color grade in post-production, and so I would never have that turned on. But it is nice that it's on the main page. And so then I'll show you in the menu, you go to the LUTs. Now here's the LUT manager, and here are the Blackmagic LUTs that they installed on the phone. You can either turn them all off, or you can individually turn them off. You can, of course, still import LUTs. That's what I've done here, and use any LUT you want, but then Blackmagic has added their own. And again, they've just simplified the menu and made it all right at your fingertips, which I do like. Another new thing they've added, I told you they've added quite a bit. If you go into settings and you have the remote camera control, if you engage that, now they have a way you can sync clips to controller after record. So if you turn that on, you'll now be able to, whatever you record on your phone, let's say your phone was the camera and your iPad was the controller, you would be able to sync those to the controller. As it is right now, they only live on the iPhone that recorded them. So syncing those across automatically is a pretty nice feature. Speaking of syncing, under media now, you've got a couple different options, and they've just kind of rearranged some stuff. But if you're recording proxies, so when you enable auto upload to select project, I've got a project set up in Blackmagic Cloud right here. So I go back to media, and what I can do if you want, and this is pretty interesting, you turn on live sync, and that instantly, as you're recording, starts sending that file up to Blackmagic Cloud. It's a very low res proxy file, but it'll sync instantly with DaVinci Resolve. So that person, the editor, whoever, can start editing or looking at that footage literally right then. Now you got to have an internet connection, of course, but that's a pretty cool feature that they've added for those type of situations. And another feature that has been widely talked about, and I've done some videos on it, and I'm glad to see Blackmagic add it, and that is OpenGate. Oh, I'm not seeing OpenGate. I wonder what the deal is. Well, I've already looked at it, and so I know what the deal is. You evidently can't shoot OpenGate with Apple log, which is a real bummer. Now, this is a 16 Pro Max. Maybe with the 17 Pro or Pro Max, I'll be able to. Gotta believe I'll be able to. I'm not sure why that makes a difference, as I know other third-party apps allow OpenGate with log, but evidently Blackmagic doesn't yet, because if I go to Rec 709, now go to resolution, I've got OpenGate. And so now I can shoot OpenGate, which is basically a 3x2 readout of the sensor. And so that way, when you're in post-production, you can be framing for vertical and horizontal images, or you can just frame for horizontal, but then you've got the top and the bottom. You got more information there, so you can actually deliver 9x16 for social media and then widescreen, like if you're doing interviews or what have you. And then one other, minor but kind of cool thing they added, the Anamorphic desqueeze now offers a 2x. You've had 1.33 and 1.55. Now you've got 2x on there. So you can see how narrow that is. Right now it's totally distorted because I don't have a lens on the camera. So not a feature I would use a lot, but nice to see them add extra stuff like that. And if you want to learn a lot more about the app, check out my course, The Complete Guide to the Blackmagic Camera app. Link is in the description. Overall, Blackmagic has given everyone a really nice update here, and they haven't actually done a large one in a while. I was beginning to wonder when they would release one, but we got it now, and it's a good one. If you have the Blackmagic Camera app, definitely go update your app. Thanks for watching. This is Blake Calhoun. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.